cemetery. I will fight, never wary, I wanna be legendary. Till I'm dead and buried deep within a cemetery. I will fight, never wary, I wanna be legendary.
Here we have him, Mr. Glenn Manton. How are you, mate? Thanks for joining us on the Jumper Punch.
Thank you both.
It's great to have you with us, mate.
Look where we are.
Where are we?
You tell me. It's a labyrinth. It's a monolith.
We've moved up in the world. We're at 3AW.
We're at Radio 3AW in the city.
I can hear the voices of so many incredible commentators.
100%. And you're one of them. You go on at night.
Now your voices are added to the incredible atmosphere that surrounds us.
That's it.
Electric.
It is. I love it. I'm loving it.
Who would be the most famous name at 3AW over the years, do you think?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Dennis Walter has to be right up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dennis Walter.
D. Walt.
Now, I'm going to mention a name that goes back to the golden era of radio.
Please.
Mr. Norman Banks.
I thought you were going to say Norman Bates for a second. I was going to say that we don't need that sort of character around here with a sharp knife.
No, we don't.
That's gone over your head, Rocco.
Yeah, that has. So even though I'm in between you and you...
It's going to be a long interview with Fred. A minute in and you're already struggling.
But anyway, I won't struggle.
It's a slippery slope.
Don't worry, mate. I'll bring you back to where I want it to go.
Back to where you need
anyway, it's nice to be here.
Your comfort zone.
Late at night.
Is it nice to be here?
It's beautiful to be here.
Do you feel comfortable?
I feel great.
Do you like these chairs?
I like them. They're a little bit like
they're a bit yellow,
ergonomically friendly.
If anyone can see this, they definitely can do some work here, mate.
Times are tough for us all.
Tough.
Even here at 3AW.
Even here,
they don't have the purse strings to pull like they used to.
No, they wouldn't either. I think everyone's
like the two of you. We're getting fancy cameras, fancy microphones, fancy environments.
You've
gone from rags to riches. I'm not.
Would you come at great expense to the management?
You are cheap, and we'll get you that coffee at the end of the
I've never had a coffee in my life. So why would you get me a coffee?
A tea.
I've never had a tea in my life.
Haven't you really? Never.
So what do you drink as a sort of a nice calming beverage when you feel like relaxing?
Yak's juice.
Yak. You know what?
I milk them myself.
I would pick that. If anyone's going to drink Yak's juice, it's you.
Rocco.
I don't know if they're male or female.
I don't know if you can see what direction this interview is going in already, but I had a feeling it was going to be quite different to the usual.
I had no idea.
And I love that.
And I've done this before with Glenn, and we ended up talking about me more than we talked about him at one stage. So.
Well, you're much more interesting than I am.
No, we're here to talk about you. We're here to talk about you, Tom.
Look at those jeans you've got on.
You like them?
They've got speed humps on them.
Look at this. Look at the noise they make. Look at them. Is this like young? Is this young person jeans?
I think you've come straight off Saturday Disney.
Oh, goodness me.
You look terrific.
I like it. I like it.
I love it. Just the old boot cut over here.
He's just like the old stalwart of the group here.
Just me? Straight up and down.
Yeah, he's straight up and down.
He's just straight back. You're at the other end, just flailing.
I'm trying to be the Warner when he first came into the competition.
I can see where you're going.
But anyway, hey, listen.
I just don't know where you've been.
You don't want to know where I've been. It's where I'm going to that's important.
Please, let's go somewhere.
No, but what we're going to do, we'll do that later, but what we're going to do now is where you went to.
Where did I go to?
You went to the pinnacle of any AFL footballer's
dreams.
The pinnacle.
Yeah, I think the AFL...
Playing at Arden Street at 9:30am on Sunday.
Do you know that would be the pinnacle?
In the reserves.
You think that would be a pinnacle of some people?
I think it's a fantastic achievement just to play any football because it's one of the world's most dramatically difficult games.
Hard.
So whether you're playing in the under-19s, the reserves or the seniors or the under-9s.
100%.
It's an extraordinary game.
Do you think the feeling of winning, say, the under-9s and winning an AFL grand final take away the crowd? And do you think the feeling would be the same?
I think it's probably more intense.
Yeah?
because you're going to be hopped up on red cordial
yeah.
and fairy bread.
But I think winning, it doesn't matter at what level, once you win with some friends and you win something, I think it's a great achievement.
Winning is nothing.
What do you mean? Explain what do you mean winning.
Losing
is everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to lose, if you can't lose,
Yeah.
you can't win.
Yeah, that's true.
So step one in terms of being able to play competitive sport and play well, and particularly at the highest level, is appreciating that you are not going to win every time you step foot on the field, the court, whatever it may be. And you need to be able to appreciate that and learn from whatever that loss has shared with you so that you can potentially make do for a better performance or a better team collective the next time you play.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You okay with that?
Nah, well.
So it's a bit of a Rubik's Cube.
No, I like it.
Okay.
I like it. You're always looking at it from a different angle.
Well, it's not a different angle. That's an angle that people don't want to talk about because they want to talk about all the fancy, flashy things in whatever sport, whether it's a slam dunk, the long torpedo goal, touching the finishing line as you swim 50 metres in a pool, break the tape. Everyone wants to talk about that end result, that flashy part, but you can't get there until you appreciate the nuance of the game. And unfortunately for a lot of young people, they never get taught that, and therefore when they're confronted by something in their sport, they stumble and they don't recover.
Do you think that's why some of the young kids that come through and then get into like a higher level, AFL, VFL and that, they struggle later on because they haven't been taught those kind of lessons?
Absolutely. You look at AFL football as a pie, if you like. If you remember playing Trivial Pursuit, you have all the little pieces of pie.
You have to fill in the gaps.
Well, you need to know, how do you deal with the game itself? How do you deal with the off-field aspect? How are you going to manage your health, your fitness, your social life? There's a huge piece of pie that we see play out week after week after week, year after year in terms of AFL football. This footballer did this footballer did that. These mistakes really shouldn't happen because you should have these pieces of pie set out so that your entire circle is full of knowledge, not just singular parts. It needs to be a holistic approach, and you need everything covered off. Otherwise, the game's going to chew you up and spit you out. And once again, that's any game or any company or any friendship.
Or
life itself.
Do football clubs do enough in this area, do you think, to educate players?
No, because
Is that why so many of them struggle with mental health issues as such?
Unfortunately, the world's struggling with mental health issues. There are so many people who are doing it tough on any given day, in any given circumstance, born of COVID, but not only just that space, the world that we live in as a whole, again, is a little bit unpleasant at the moment. It has a lot of issues that need to be ironed out, and unfortunately the leadership isn't there to iron it out, but that's a rabbit hole. We can fall down that maybe later on in the interview and explore that a bit more. But in terms of helping young people, in particular young footballers, as per your question, Vince, you can't help young people if all you know is about football. And that's the great tragedy about football and football clubs. They keep recycling the same people through those doors rather than saying, hey, we've got some interesting people out here that we can choose from, or people who have left the game, spent time elsewhere, come back to the game, fresh thinking, fresh ideas, new experience. This is so important. The idea that you've played football for 10 years and then you're an assistant coach and then your aspiration is to be a head coach, that's doomed from the outset. But we see it just replicated time and time again in AFL football clubs. And the same thing happens in education. You're a student, you went off to university, you end up back in the school, you actually haven't lived life. You've got nothing new to bring to the table. And again, if I'm the CEO, if I'm the coach hiring, I'm looking for different, diverse people who are going to challenge me, people make me feel uncomfortable, not in a negative sense, but people who are just going to say, hey, what's this about? What's that about? Rather than say, hey, good job. Pat on the back. And there's just too much of that in AFL football, too much self-centered ego. And young people don't need that. They need people who have got a passion and a vulnerability for them.
If there is a club that you've noticed that does this better than others, is there any? Are there any, or are they all pretty much the same?
I've got no idea. I can't sincerely answer that because I don't know what's happening behind the scenes.
Right.
I can see from it.
From a distance, is there one that you probably guess does it more better than others?
No.
What about these ones with an academy, for example?
I think a lot of the academies are bullshit.
Are they?
Absolute rubbish.
It's more just sort of sausage machine type stuff, just churn them in, churn them out.
My two boys were in the Carlton Academy.
Oh, were they?
Didn't serve them in any way, shape or form whatsoever.
Yeah. Right.
And that's not to say that the Carlton Football Club should have rubber stamped my sons and put them into the Carlton football team. Not at all. But it's about creating an atmosphere of family, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
We need Vin Diesel in here to talk to us about this. But you want to create...
Can you get him for us?
Be a very interesting interview, wouldn't it? But you want to create that family atmosphere that allows you to nurture and develop these young people with an inclination towards the club itself so that they respect the history, the direction, and the people who have been part of all of that. So history, future direction, and if they're good enough to be in that space as people, as players, then so be it. But I have nothing good to say about the way in which the Carlton Football Club treated my children.
So what were the promises made by the so-called Carlton Academy that were, what was it meant to achieve for young footballers like your sons?
I think identification, development, as I said, care and nurturing, and an opportunity. Because at the end of the day, the Carlton Football Club had a free hit. My sons had a free hit.
Yep.
It actually had nothing to do with me. I'm more or less Switzerland. I'm caught in the middle. But I saw two boys go about their business in a way that wasn't appropriate. And I saw the football club go about their business in a way that was truly inappropriate, because adults have a lot more ability to appreciate a landscape than young people. So they should have been leading from the forefront and assisting my sons to move through into a space that allowed them to be in the spotlight. If they're good enough, they're good enough. If they're not, they're not.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that process was done well at all. And my sons are one of a number of different past players who have had young men who could have represented the Carlton Football Club, let alone young women.
Yep.
And I don't think any of those young people were afforded the time that was necessary. So I think the Carlton Football Club Academy has failed miserably to this point.
Okay. Is it any... All right, so you did achieve in 95. When did you get to Carlton? What year?
1995.
1995, right.
The last bus.
The last bus. You were too. We can talk about that. But so you did achieve the ultimate success there, right?
But is that really the ultimate success?
I think as far as...
Is it?
Playing football?
It's not.
Well, what are we doing it for?
You're doing it for the times where this thing isn't pointed at you and you're suffering immeasurably, mentally, emotionally, physically, and you're trying to get over the next hurdle. That's far greater than playing in the grand final.
I understand that, and that's true in life and in all sorts of aspects, but I'm saying about we're playing, we get together, we build a squad, a team, we build a club, and then we are going, at the end of the day, the ultimate success for that club, for those players, is the premiership.
That's what it would appear to be.
I can't see it being... I know what you're saying outside of that, and I do believe that we've got to be teaching these kids to prepare for life.
No, I'm telling you that I don't think about the premiership at all.
But that was the what I was going to ask. We did, all right, so we reached a premiership. It might not have been the ultimate success.
You would want, as a Carlton supporter, to know that Glenn Manton stepped out onto the ground, whether it was Arden Street or the MCG. Arden Street, 2 men and a dog.
Cold.
The MCG, 100,000 people. You as a supporter would want to know, if you're being really sincere about it, that every time I stepped out onto the ground, I gave everything of myself.
Yep.
Everything of myself.
Yep. Yeah, that's what you want.
And I can tell you that happened every time I played. Did that mean that I was the best player on the field or the worst?
Who knows?
Who knows? That's a spectrum, not for me to decide. I can't have that discretion to decide whether I played a great game or not. I have my own inclination.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But you as a supporter want to know that was what I offered you.
Yep.
100%. And that was the baseline for how I saw myself. So if I reflect on my career and all I can think about is the fact that I played in a premiership or the prelim in 99, which undoubtedly, I think, at least, again, my opinion, is one of the top 5 games of all time. I would
100%.
imagine. And I feel like I played well that game.
Yep.
I played well that day. But statistically, did I play well? I couldn't give a shit.
Yep.
What I care about is that in every aspect of that game, first 5 minutes, last 2 minutes, I was in the right position, I had the right headspace, my ego was in a position that said, you know what, when the ball comes, I know it might be this player that I'm going to give it to, or if I can punch over here and protect someone else because they're a better runner than I am, or a better kick. They're all the boxes that I want to cover when I reflect on my career. And again, I learnt this at a very young age. I learnt how to lose. I learned how to compete literally as a child.
Yep.
And that was something that I was developing over the years. But that true sense of value of the game became apparent for me actually at the 1993 grand final, where I didn't get selected to play for Essendon, but at that game, I met Alec Epps. Alec Epps, the Kookaburra, played for the Essendon Football Club, a legend, played in 4 grand finals, blah, 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 blah. Who cares? What I care about talking about Alec and what means the world to me is that he stepped into my life and loved me unconditionally and helped me develop myself as a person and as a footballer well beyond anything that I imagined possible. So what's more important, a premiership medal or the relationship with this man that I've had in my life for the last 30 odd years?
Yep. But why
you can't compare the two.
No, and I completely agree because life's more important. But when you met this man and when you're playing that football, him helping you out the way he did certainly helped in the success of getting to that ultimate.
You won't let it go, will you?
No, but
a dog with a bone.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing. I mean, that's what most footballers will be aiming for. How you got there,
of course,
and everyone's different how they got there.
I didn't play a season of football without wanting to play in a grand final.
Now, what I was going to ask,
that's the context of competition.
Yes,
that's why I can't watch a grand final. I have no interest in watching the AFL grand final because there's part of me that hankers, yearns to be out there.
Yep.
And of course.
Yep.
And I can't be.
No, of course.
If I'm watching the WRC rally cars drive, I wish I was behind the wheel.
That's it.
If it's an Olympic event, somebody's running a 200-metre sprint, I wish I was there. That is that natural competitor that's within me that wants to be out there and be involved in whatever sport it happens to be, or for that matter, any experience that life has to offer. But again, if I'm hanging my hat on whether I won something or whether I was anointed the best, then I've got a pretty shallow life.
Is what you're alluding to here that we place too much emphasis and importance on reaching the top of the mountain, getting to the destination and not really taking in the journey along the way and meeting the people? Is this what you
I love that. It's all about the journey.
Is this what you mean? Is this what you're alluding to?
It's a balance.
Yeah.
If the journey just meanders around base camp and you're not actually climbing anything, well, then you're not doing anything in that respect either. We can't just pat ourselves on the back for turning up and here's a little certificate of appreciation because you tried your best. No, it is about aiming for the summit and
Cool.
pushing towards it. But when we reflect upon it, I think it's important to strip it back, really pare it back and say, right, that wasn't really the most impressive thing. What was really impressive was back here when you were struggling and you didn't think you could make it to this next level, and now look where you are.
Yeah, I know, totally.
Because holding the flag up and putting it into that, as I said, the peak, that's easy. I'll give you an example. Here's one for you.
Sure.
Your viewers won't know this story either.
Right.
When I turned up at the Carlton Football Club, I didn't even have a pair of boots. The Essendon Football Club locked my boots away and wouldn't give me my boots. My beautiful Copa Mundials, my World Cup screw-ins, they were the best boots.
What do you mean
they wouldn't let me have them. They wouldn't let me access them. There's the door.
Is that because they provided them originally, or and they considered them Essendon Football Club boots?
That's a very good question. I can't remember if I had to pay something for them.
Right.
They may have been free.
Right.
But regardless,
they were yours.
They were mine.
You wore them.
They're not boots that I wore for 5 minutes. They were well worn in boots, and
You spent 3 seasons there, didn't you?
I spent much longer than that at the Essendon Football Club.
Did you?
Haven't done your research, have you?
5 years.
I went to Essendon when I was 16.
Oh, right. I'm thinking senior years.
31.
Maybe
I was playing reserve grade football at Essendon at 16.
Wow.
So.
Because you played a lot of junior football around that area, didn't you? Keilor, you grew up around Essendon,
grew up in
Keilor?
Strathmore.
Strathmore?
Yeah, has he been drinking?
Nah, he's good. He's good. But see, what you're doing is we're pretty good with the normal stats. Nah, you're going deep in and you're trying to get us.
To get to this story,
You're doing a good job of completely discrediting me. I pride myself on my stats and my history, but you're right.
You know my birth date.
I do know you do. I know you're going to join our 50 club this year.
I am.
You look at damn good, I've got to tell you.
Yeah, looking damn good
for nearly 50.
Getting back to the story,
yes.
We'll talk about 50 in a moment.
We'll go back there, yep.
I turned up to the first pre-season training session without boots. I remember Parko said to me, pop your gear on, throw your boots on, let's get into training. And I said, I don't have any gear, I don't have any boots.
Yeah.
And with that, he threw me a CUB t-shirt, one of what was probably kind of one of the original training tops from that time.
Love it.
And that's all I had. And it took me some time to acquire some boots and some gear. I had nothing.
Did you train in runners that first?
I did.
Yeah?
I only had running shoes. And even then, I don't know where they really came from, because from memory, I didn't get a chance to take running shoes. I might have snuck a pair of running shoes into my bag as I was given the marching orders and sent home back up Napier Street.
Yeah.
So you think about it from that perspective, you've started the season in 95 without boots.
Yeah.
And you're finishing the season on the MCG. So if I'm getting caught up in just that day, I'm forgetting everything else that happened during the year.
I don't think any of us forget that the hard work you had to put in, and not just you, everybody in the whole squad, to get to that. And everyone's got their own story.
Absolutely.
That's why we like to talk to everyone about their stories. And these are the stories we appreciate, the hard work. And you went from Essendon, and when you got let go at Essendon, did you think that the AFL career was over?
Well, I got delisted twice from Essendon.
So you got delisted and then
So I got delisted at the end of the last under-19 season. So I was the captain of the Essendon under-19s. I was runner-up in the club best and fairest, and I was runner-up in the Morris medal.
And they delisted you?
And I got delisted. I got told I wasn't good enough. You can't play.
Wow.
There's the door. See you later. And then Kevin Sheedy redrafted me.
Yeah.
Now that's like breaking up with your girlfriend on a Friday and getting back together on the Monday.
Yeah.
You just don't do that.
I think some people have done that.
So he redrafted me, and then for the next 3 seasons, I think I was charting in the right direction and getting better as a footballer. I didn't like that environment, truthfully.
Yep.
I never trusted or believed in Kevin Sheedy, let alone his minions.
Yeah.
They weren't people that I saw as being genuine,
Yep.
being the sorts of people that I could trust in, believe in, work with, learn from. I still remember David Whedon. Here's one for you if you're watching, which of course you are.
Of course, Dave.
No, not David Whedon, just our viewers.
Oh, the viewers are watching.
Carlton viewers.
The viewers to think of this.
Yep.
Small group of Essendon players. This is ahead of the 1993 grand final. Young players, the Baby Bombers.
The Baby Bombers, yeah.
And David Whedon asks what we should do if we mark the ball between 5-10 metres out directly in front of goal. What should we do? How should we tackle that? Now you think about that. You've taken a mark, grand final day, 5-10 metres out from goal. What would you do? How would you go about that? Common sense would say, according to the game, circumstance and your skill set, you would go back, go through your routine and kick a drop punt. You would agree with that? You would agree with that?
I can't see any other way.
Well, David Whedon could. He asked a number of us how we should go about it. And some people from memory said routine. Other people said check the wind.
Okay.
Stay back from the mark.
Okay.
Logical things.
Yep.
Things that the three of us, the three monkeys, would come up with.
Yep.
You know what he says?
No.
I'll never forget it.
Torp.
No. Well, almost. He turns the football so it's essentially running horizontally and says,
snap it.
I think you should kick it like this. So it's horizontal. And he says, more surface area. That is the level of bullshit we put up with from people who
Was he serious?
Yes, he was serious.
What was that position he held at the time?
Idiot.
No. Official position at the club. Was he a football manager?
He was some sort of director of football.
Right.
But can you imagine?
Nah,
seriously,
that's ridiculous.
Again, I want our Carlton supporters to think about this, and any other supporters who are watching. I'm sure we get a few.
No, we got a few.
I'm sure we get a few from other clubs.
Yeah.
Carlton make the grand final this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
This year, 2023 could be significant. Brown rice, 2023.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a sign. I'm not sure.
Brown rice, I like it.
Wiedering floats down and takes a mark top of the goal square in the dying seconds. Carlton need a goal to win. He goes back
and turns a footy
and turns the football into that horizontal position.
Yeah,
how would you react?
No, that's ridiculous.
You would lose your mind.
Yeah, I lose my mind when they kick around the corner these days and miss. So let alone if they did that. So, yeah.
Jacob, if you're watching, I genuinely hope you do that.
Mate, if he runs, because you know he's full back.
I do know he's full back.
Right. So
I used to coach him.
Oh, did you? Actually, you did mention that.
I love him.
Last night. Yes, you did mention that.
I
yes, right at the start.
He's a wonderful person and he's a very, very good footballer.
But tell me something. So 95. Let it go.
You can't let it go.
No, because I love it, and I know the audience love this too. What was that moment? You win the grand final, and that 5 minutes after that win, and you're with your teammates. Because let's be honest, like that would be a special moment, you know. And you had some good mates there, Ange, Kuda. I think Mil Hanna would have been in that special group, and
he was
in defence.
Yeah, not only the defence, I'm sure you've had some good times after the game too. But how was that moment there?
It is actually quite a good question. I remember being down the boundary line prior to the siren sounding and more or less sitting like a dog on my hands and knees, almost panting, waiting for that siren to sound. Because at that stage, we knew we were going to win. I mean, poor old Geelong, we're not going to be able to come back from where they were.
Yeah.
And then thinking about whether I would like to be on the ground or if I was happy enough being where I was. And it becomes, again, just a reality check of the fact that it's not about you, it's about the team. And everyone's winning this together. And then the siren sounds and it's just an extraordinary feeling to be the centre of attention. We've got this table in front of us here. You can just imagine that you're a spot on this table, but there's just a sea of people around looking down at that spot or spots. And you can feel that energy from the crowd. And the Carlton teams, the Essendon teams, the Richmond teams, the Hawthorn teams that have big, powerful supporter bases that share their energy with the ground. That's what makes AFL football special. That's why over the last 10, 15 years, whatever it's been where Carlton has struggled, if you will, it's been bad for the competition. Now, I left Collingwood out a moment ago. it's a privilege to play Collingwood because they've got such rabid, passionate, vocal supporters. That's what you're going there to do. And if the Carlton Football Club had its chance to play the Collingwood Football Club every week, you would take that opportunity
100%.
because they're a great team with great history and great supporters. And for me to be part of that atmosphere and that experience was quite overwhelming in many respects because upon reflection, you can't necessarily remember everything that took place. I believe that there is a video that highlights an embrace between myself and David Parkin.
Yep.
And I can't remember that happening in the moment, but I do know that David Parkin was the first official, for want of a better word, put him in the official space rather than just a coach, who gave two shits about me.
Okay. I was going to ask that. Was it a special relationship between you? And
well, this
David?
is the first person who ever asked me how my family was.
Yes.
Whoever asked me how I was.
Yep.
Who cared enough about me to support me in my profession beyond football of teaching.
Did that make you want to do more for David?
Of course.
Yep.
And people watching this may suggest, oh, okay, so it was a really lovey-dovey relationship and everything went smooth. No. He told me many times, I'm not happy with that, you need to do better at this, this is how it, etc.,
And you
etc.
appreciate that, yeah.
But you've got to be able to...
That's his job.
Yeah, you've
Challenge
got to
you.
be able to take both sides of somebody's guidance.
Yep.
And he was someone who I gelled with. It's not to say that David Parkin is for everyone. He's not. Glenn Manton's not for everyone.
Yeah.
You aren't for everyone.
No, I'm close.
He is.
You're definitely. But you have people that you build a rapport with and a connection with, and there often is a great relationship that springs forth from that. So in that 5 minutes, you're embracing people with whom you shared time, whether that's, and you alluded to it, the playing group, could be the support staff, again, the coaching group, officials, and you then start to quickly search for, not that you can find, but search for people that you know are there to support you because you're wanting to share your energy with them.
Yep.
So it's a very emotive time that tugs at you in many different ways. And there's even a little bit of indifference and spite and somewhat maybe controversial thing to say, but a little bit of arrogance there back to the Essendon Football Club too.
And I can't see why there wouldn't be. Like, I think that's a bit of human nature, isn't it?
Well, one of my favourite things out of that whole grand final space was being back at the Carlton Football Club and stepping up onto the stage in front of an absolute sea of Carlton supporters, and that was really very thrilling. I'm sure I speak for every player to say that it was lovely to be back there with that group of people. And just having the feeling that I wanted to take my jacket off and wave it above my head, but then thinking maybe I shouldn't do that. I'm a baby. This isn't my team. And then getting up there and saying, you know what, fuck that. I'm taking my jacket off. And I'm going to wave it above my head. And you know what? Fuck you, Kevin Sheedy. You know?
You did it?
Yeah, you did it.
Well, it's immature to have thought that way upon reflection, but in the moment...
No, but that was your moment.
You wanted to make it clear that you made a mistake, and not so much a mistake about whether I could play or not. That's your perception, but you made a mistake not realising how stubborn I am, how determined I am, how committed I am.
Yeah.
He underestimated your will to succeed, didn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did that drive you
It's
a little
almost-
bit during the year? That 95, even, you know, and the team was doing well,
Well, you
so
see,
you're
you
winning more.
missed out. Can I just take it back? You missed out on the 93 premiership team for Essendon, didn't you? They left you out of the team. Were you close to playing? Were you one of the emergencies?
I think I would have been. No, what happened was I managed to get myself reported, then I managed to tweak my hamstring leading into the finals. And I know that aggravated the coaching staff.
Right.
Should I have got reported? No, I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have found myself in that position. My hamstring, well, that's just bad luck. I think I did pretty well my entire career in terms of injuries. But I think that put me into a space where they said...
So missing out on that premiership would have hurt? Or would have
No, it didn't.
It didn't hurt you?
No, because
That's
where I met Alec
I
Epis.
missed out? Oh, okay. So that's where you met him.
That's
okay.
where I met Alec Epis. So that was the best thing that could have ever happened.
So the move away from Essendon, they delisted you. You went to Carlton. Did Alex support you through that time?
He did. He spoke to
because I've heard a lot of good things about this guy too.
He's an incredible human being. He spoke to David Parkin. They had a very big conversation about me and how that protocol was going to unfold.
Yep.
And Parkin, Epis came to an agreement about how they were going to go about their business when Essendon played Carlton.
Yep.
And we never spoke about anything between the two of us. We just went about our business.
Yep.
And any other given week, David Parkin had an additional coach.
Did you have a little bit of an edge to you every time you played Essendon once you got to Carlton? Do you think? Because you tended to play a lot of very good games against them.
I think you'd want to play well.
You played very well against them.
No,
in my view, anyway, my observation.
No, I appreciate
Especially when you played on these so-called star forwards like Lucas and Lloyd.
You'd make sure. They were very good players.
They were.
Look, you always want to have a sense of pride about your work.
That's good.
Whether you're a carpenter, whether you're a radio announcer, or whether you're in AFL football. It doesn't matter what you are. You want to have a pride to what you do. And as I said, my pride was knowing that I had a series of, we'll call them spider webs, that I would rely on ahead of the game. And then I would use those spider webs, all sorts of crisscrossing ideas and thoughts out on the field. And at its core, the middle of that web was, I'm going to try my absolute best to make your day as miserable as possible in every small little way that I can. So how I position myself, how I annoy you behind the play, ahead of the ball, even the way in which I might try and I would do this week in, week out, sneak an extra 2-3 meters on the mark just to irritate you, because I'm going to have to find every advantage I can because I'm playing this 360-degree combative game in the open air against people who are 10 kilos heavier than me, 4 inches taller than me, whatever it may be, out of the square one-on-one more often than not. Yeah.
Oh, you punched above your weight many a time on taller forwards.
I literally did punch above my weight because that's what I spent a lot of my time doing.
Yeah, that's it.
Punching the ball away. And I took a pride in that. And if that was my part to play on the production line, then I wanted to play it well.
As best you can.
Whatever I know Ange Christou plays a part in this particular production, if you like. Glenn Manton kicking the ball versus Ange Christou. Ange Christou should kick it.
Yeah,
he's a wonderful kick. He's a beautiful kick. He's got that ability to kick the ball at a higher level than me. But if I can punch it away and get it to Ange Christou, then that's what's best for the team.
Yeah,
and I loved playing that role within the team.
100%. And being part of the team, as you said, and everyone, you can't have 22 champions, you've got to have 22 contributors.
Role players,
They all fit together somehow.
To get to the end, to get to that end result.
When did you learn that you were going to play in the forward line in the first few minutes of the 1999 preliminary final?
That was...
Because you kicked the first goal of the game. It was a real good one too, wasn't it?
To be honest, I probably nearly kicked it through the points that day.
I was
a bit disoriented. I was at the wrong end of the field.
Thank God you didn't do a Percy Jones and kick the post or something. Or a Malcolm Blight kicked it straight into the points once.
No, 1999, I did a lot of pinch hitting down the other end of the field in certain circumstances. In retrospect, it worked a number of times. In that game, it worked again. I didn't get paid a lot of respect, and I think I did quite well up forward that day. But to kick the first goal always makes me laugh in hindsight when we put it against the level of sports betting, because the odds for me to have kicked that first goal
imagine.
would have been
200 to 1.
It would have been quite extraordinary. So I knew I was going to play up forward on the Thursday night.
So how much did you put on yourself to kick the first one?
Never had a coffee, never had a tea.
Never had a bet.
Never been in a TAB and laid a bet. So
never had a beer?
Very rarely.
Yeah?
Very, very rarely. I've actually got a Corona bottle.
Really?
That I saved after we celebrated my 100th game for Carlton with some friends, and an extra beer came along, and just to annoy them, I actually drank it. It's probably one of the few beers my friends have ever seen me drink.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, very good, very good.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And tell us, obviously we didn't win the 99 grand final. That would have been your first
did not.
experience as a loss in a grand final. How did that...
Yeah.
I mean, the obvious thing is it's obviously disappointing, but you've given us a different perspective on this issue. How did you feel after that particular grand final as opposed to 95 and also the 93 one where you didn't even play?
So after that game, I was absolutely exhausted.
Oh, yeah?
My body was completely and utterly done.
Do you reckon you had plenty of mates that day that were stuffed because of the previous week?
Absolutely.
Were you guys all spent basically? Had you played your grand final the week before?
Sadly, I think so. I think we needed everything going for us in that game.
Yeah.
And by that stage, I'd played enough sport across the board to know how the team was looking and feeling coming into a game.
Yep.
And as easily as I could identify that we would win the 1995 grand final,
Yep.
I had real fear that unless we hit a couple of key performance indicators early in the game, we were probably going to struggle. And we really did struggle. We didn't play that badly.
No.
At one stage, you were...
Can I tell you an interesting statistic? We had the same amount. Don't you love him? We had the same amount of scoring shots. They kicked 19 goals, 10. That's 29 scoring shots, and we kicked 12 goals, 17. Also 29 scoring shots. Losing Justin Murphy, who we'd relied on a lot that year to kick goals for us. I think he went down with a knee injury early in the game. That really threw us off. I personally felt, as soon as that happened, I thought, we are gone here.
We just had a lot of people running.
Running on empty. But we didn't need that.
No, of course not.
You know.
And look, there was virtually not a poor player amongst that 99 team or the 95 team, or, as you allude to, the opposition. So you only need to... Look, Geelong could have beaten us in 95 if, for some untold reason, we didn't step into the game switched on. They were a great team. Again, North Melbourne were a great team. The better team won in 95. The better team won in 99.
Sure.
How did I feel about it afterwards? I was incredibly tired, exhausted emotionally, terribly disappointed. Because, again, you'll appreciate hearing this because you've wanted me to say something like this the whole time we've been speaking. You are playing to win the premiership.
At the end of the day,
We didn't achieve that. I didn't appreciate maybe 10 North Melbourne supporters coming around to my house later that night.
What?
And causing drama. And I remember chasing them down the street with a baseball bat. They ran pretty quickly.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so that was interesting. When I was living in a warehouse in Ascot Vale, they came and stood out the front of my house and yelled abuse and whatnot.
Oh, goodness.
But they did move quite quickly for a bunch of drunken yobs at about 2 a.m.
Don't worry, we fixed them up.
we
fixed them up. Because this interview's going after the North Melbourne, so so we fixed them right up. We fixed them right up. Now that's always interesting speaking to you, Glenn.
Well, can you just tell me now that we're at the interview, and I should have asked you at the start, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah,
because I have. Are you going to beep that out?
No, you've got to watch our show.
I won't watch.
No.
I can't.
You can.
I can't.
You will.
I won't.
You will. Tell everyone you're watching.
I won't be watching the show.
Hey, we haven't finished yet.
You watch yourself?
We
You
haven't
watch
finished
yourself on anything?
No.
We haven't
On
finished
nothing.
yet, Rocco. We haven't finished yet. I know we're getting close.
I will not be watching yet. Why are you playing with your phone for?
Now, to tell you the truth, now
keeping it
you're
on
trying
the
to be
time.
smart there.
I'm not trying to be smart.
Yeah, because you said there's a certain time you've got to leave this that you've got.
What's the
you've got
time?
other commitments.
What is the time?
I wanted to do it discreetly, but you had
What
to.
is the time? We've got time.
A little bit.
And all I was going to do, right, but you had to talk. All I was going to do was
You're
that.
not that subtle because they can see it in frame. It's in frame.
I was going to do that. Look.
Yeah, I know. It looks like you're doing something else under the table. It's not pleasant. No one wants that.
I was thinking about
what I was
you.
going to say to your Carlton
Yeah,
faithful is that I won't be watching this show. I will not be watching Carlton play this weekend. It's not going to happen. Why? Why?
Tell me why.
Why? Because I'll be watching my sons play.
Yeah, fair enough.
And
Are they playing Good Friday?
They are actually playing
Wow.
Good Friday. So I'll be watching my sons play, or if I do have to watch some football, I'll be watching Jarman Impey play for Hawthorn, because he's like a son to me as well.
Okay. What do you do on Tuesday nights?
On Tuesday nights, I will be...
At about 7 o'clock.
About 7 o'clock. What would you be doing?
I could be walking the dog.
Yeah,
I could be making passionate love. I could be listening to music.
Because it's on the phone.
I could be doing all
You can put it on the background. You know how excited we get people going?
It's going to be an interesting promo, I can tell you.
That's a great promo.
Well,
Don't
trying
watch
to
the
get
show.
to this for 5 minutes with these very gracious people.
are.
I would rather sit down with Carlton supporters individually, one every day for the rest of my life, and have a coffee. Not that I'm going to drink it, I'll have a juice.
Yep.
And have a conversation, because that's the way I see the world. That's the way I like to go about catching up with people in real life.
And you're always great with your time, I just
don't have time for this program or any other program. That's not to say it's not a good program, it's a great program. You should keep watching it. But me personally,
that was our promo. That was it. That was our promo.
Doing other things in life. So again, to make sure they get their promo footage, you tune in next week.
Yeah.
On Tuesday at 7 o'clock.
Tuesday, 7 o'clock. And you can think about me walking the dog, making passionate love, listening to music. Maybe I'm doing the dishes. I'm not sure. And as I said a minute ago, maybe I'm doing all 4 together, which would be quite an achievement. That would be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But you watch the show because you're passionate about it. Yeah. I'm passionate about the community. I'm passionate about the people within the community and being a part of the community. So this is a great community.
Yeah.
I love the Carlton Football Club. I love the supporters. The supporters have been incredible to me and continue to be incredible to me in the real world out here. We're just opposite Southern Cross Station.
We are.
I'm on the train all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Sometimes I could be driving it.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a train driver.
I probably won't be using the train anymore. I'm on the train all the time. You wouldn't believe how many people sit down next to me on the train, have a chat. That's what I like doing. I won't be watching myself on
But
YouTube
you know what's happening is, by you
and
being...
I won't be watching Ange Christou either.
Oh, don't won't you?
Have you ever been to his
He
restaurant?
talks nice about you. What are you
his
doing?
restaurant. I went straight from his restaurant to the Royal Melbourne Hospital, where I had to have my stomach pumped.
No, you didn't. No, you...
I'm joking. If you
What's
want
going
the
on?
best fish burgers in town,
Not just burgers. Listen, it's called North Seafood Bar and Grill, all right? Just remember. Now, another thing, Ange
calamari.
has told me you, Kuda, all of you had some good times.
We did.
And you did.
And we still
you're
do.
really good mates. He did say that.
We are.
But I wanted to say, this little interview here, all right, you're not watching it, whatever, but what I'm saying is, what you've done now is, you say you like to talk to individual, like this, you're talking to a group of people that are listening to you and taking your words of wisdom, and they are, well, everyone's got words, even I've got words of wisdom sometimes.
Can you believe that?
You know. You know.
Do you do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
You got a
Loud.
little button, don't you?
No, it got like a...
I thought you were doing a
What
Ricky
line
Nixon.
do you normally?
So I do all the north sides. I do all the Mernda, Hurstbridge, Belgrave, Glen Waverley, Alamein.
I've been on a
Hurstbridge.
couple of those. You said Hurstbridge
How
twice.
smooth is the
Is
run?
that going out? But no, I was going to say bumpy as fuck.
Yeah, but that's not me. I can't do
reckon
nothing
that's you.
about the track.
I reckon, a couple of corners. I reckon we drifted. I reckon we drifted around a couple of
You
corners.
can't speed. Don't
You
do
can't?
that. If
Yes,
you're
you can
watching,
speed.
I don't speed.
Of course you can
No,
speed.
you can't.
What's the fastest the train can go?
No, but I know the train can speed.
Well, then you can speed then.
No, but you can't.
Why don't you just hurry the fuck up instead
Because
of
if I
keeping us
speed-
waiting on a platform?
So what do you think? I just rock up
Crank
and I
the
can,
thing up.
You reckon?
Mate.
Are you going to pay my bills?
You're running on
You know
time.
they keep us like on. They got Vickers on us that they know live what we're doing, and if we go over the speed, we lose our keys.
You're just there picking your nose.
No, I don't pick my nose, but I do sit back and relax and have a meal. While
You
I'm
know what I
driving,
love?
and
Do you get
I
an infringement?
love-
Do you get an infringement notice as a train
We
driver?
get warnings.
Oh, really?
I'm telling you, man.
What did you get a
Could you
warning
get a
for?
fine
Making a
from
hook
the-
turn?
No, well, for example,
Have you ever made a hook turn?
No, so if we've got to turn the train around, we've got to go around the loop and bring it back.
Are the Victorian government going to bring in speed camera fines for train drivers? Because they're just about finding everything else.
No, well, don't start them because they might do
You know
that.
the one thing you need to do?
Tell me.
I reckon you would do it. A man of your quality would do this. As you're pulling into the station, you just have to keep your eyes up in case there are any little children there.
Of course.
Waving to the train driver.
I always wave
That's
back.
nice.
Always wave back. It's actually
That's nice.
one of the pleasurable things when
That's good.
kids sit there and they wave at you.
I like that.
And you wave back at them and they get such a joy.
That's cool.
No, of course, that's what I'm about.
And
How
I think
keeping
they should
them.
name the trains.
They do.
Well, no, there's no writing on the train saying
On
what
the
train-
side, you'll see there are certain trains that have got special names for particular drivers that have passed away or things like that.
What's
yeah.
yours called? Bazasto.
Now, what would it be, Bazasto?
I know, because it's a high-flying train.
What's my name? It'd be just Rocco. That's all I need.
Oh,
That's-
you want it named after you?
Yeah, of course. If it's going to be named after me, why not?
Man, I knew there was a Thomas, a Gordon, a Henry. There was no Rocco.
Mate, there's a Madonna, there's a Prince, there's a Rocco. It's one name. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Rocco from Reservoir, mate.
Rocco from Reza.
No one's getting on that train. Well, this interview I might actually watch this now because it
Have
got
you-
fun over the last
have you
2 or 3
enjoyed it?
minutes talking about trains.
Have you enjoyed it?
I always love talking to you guys. It's good.
No, it has
I always
been
love talking to our supporter base.
No,
nice.
it's good. And it's
And
good.
Ange Christou is an incredible human being,
He is actually. He's
churning
such-
out the finest food.
Well, you don't have to say it because we everyone that goes there knows that he's really passionate about his food. But
He is.
But Ange is a very nice.
What about his prices, though?
No, they're not. They're actually no. If you go to
You
any
put them
other,
up 300%.
no, we never. Don't
Mate,
start.
small bag of chips,
You
15
really are.
bucks.
There's
You
no
really
small
do
bag.
know.
15 bucks.
Nah, there's
You
no-
know,
if you
15
go,
chips.
if you go anywhere
He's
else,
stirring the pot, ladies and
I'm telling you,
gentlemen. He's
mate,
really
it's
No
the
one
best.
stirs the pot at his restaurant.
Mate,
It just sits there.
Do you know that Legends of the Jumper Punch, which is the segment you're going to be on,
Is
is
this what-
proudly brought to you by North Seafood
Seafood
Bar and Grill. And what are you doing, mate? Are you going to come down for a
Mate.
meal one day?
Any publicity is good publicity.
You're going to come down for a meal?
to Ange's place?
Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah, you'll come down. Do you eat seafood?
No.
You don't eat seafood. What do you eat?
Nothing.
I bet you eat things like some bloody grass and.
Yeah.
Witchy grubs.
I eat.
Are you vegetarian?
I am.
Are you full on vegetarian?
Yeah, I am.
Is there such a word as
Vegetarian or
full on?
vegan?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm
full on
full on vegetarian.
Vegetarian or vegan?
Doesn't really matter if
Were
I,
you,
if
were,
I
you,
eat.
were you vegetarian or vegan when you played?
I didn't eat a lot
Or
of
only
meat.
recently?
I really didn't eat a lot of meat from probably the age of 20 onwards.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
My
And
mum
so what
used-
did you do for
My
protein?
mother would try to give me a thing called Straz.
What about
the
what about
fuck is Straz?
what about protein? How did you get
How
a
do you get
decent protein intake?
Nuts, legumes,
Really?
tofu.
There's lots of ways you can get protein.
Yeah. One of the best ones is eating meat.
And there's another
And
good
fish.
way, but we won't mention it.
What's that?
What's wrong with this guy?
No, I'm just saying, man. Like, there's heaps. There's beans. There's some sort of like fruits.
Some sort of like fruits. Mate,
I got no idea. I love meat, man. I
why don't you?
You
when
know,
you're
I make
driving
my
the
own
train,
salami.
why don't you throw some fruit out to people? That's a good idea.
You know what they
Healthy
should do?
eating.
You know what they should do around the city?
What?
Put fruit trees for the homeless. Then they could pick the fruit and eat it.
It's funny you say that because last week here at 3AW in my little segment, which I better not swear on tonight, we spoke about homelessness.
Yes.
So very, very interesting that you should bring that up.
Is it homelessness?
Homelessness.
Hope. That if you know me, mate, I can't put two words together.
We'll just hit rewind.
No, there's no rewind. People understand what I'm saying about. And
Is this subtitled?
I'm going to get a T-shirt now. Homelessness. Is it a problem?
Is it a problem?
Yeah.
It's a huge problem. It's a
I know
global-
it's a problem.
it's
I'm in the
enormous
city every day.
It's a
I want your
global issue. It's a huge issue. Last week's program, I discussed the idea of creating a specific currency for the homeless, so they had an ability to create some wealth that they could put towards their self-development and somehow break the cycle that they're in. So they would have to take ownership of their space in the city or activities in the city and try and find a sense of purpose and recover from the position that they find themselves in, but it's not that easy.
So you're trying to say, so in their little space and that, we can make them active, make them do something on that, and then with that they get some sort of credits.
Yeah, they could earn a currency and then they could spend that to assist their, as I said, development as a person and or out of their particular plight. But it's not that easy, obviously, because there are all sorts of external factors.
It's not a bad idea, Glenn.
It's an idea, and I know you're possibly being a bit flippant about the fruit trees. But
the fruit.
No, but
it's not a.
That's not a silly idea either. There's scope in that too. And again, somehow we've worked our way back full circle to our conversation earlier about the football club. Wild ideas, interesting ideas that are based on humanitarian premise, so care and love for and want for a better community and the people within it, have merit. So if the City of Melbourne planted 20 fruit trees, and it didn't work out for whatever reason, they were attacked by bats and the fruit eaten by bats, or just didn't grow the way the council would hope it would grow, then you look for another idea.
Yep.
But saying that somebody's homeless, okay, wash my hands of that person and basically denounce them as being part of the community, that's not the answer.
Yeah.
And again, in this environment that we're living in, we need as much care for one another as possible.
Yeah.
Because sadly, a lot of that has been eroded by what's happened in recent times.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but if I can give a bit of a plug here to some Carlton people that I know, there's a particular Carlton supporter who...
Stop looking at your phone, mate.
I'm thinking of you. Now, look at the time. I don't want you to be late because I know you've got.
Well, I only have to walk 20 metres to my right.
It's okay.
So
You'll let us know.
You decide when we're going to end this.
We should have ended it 50 minutes ago.
There's a particular Carlton supporter who, in fact, used to be, I think, like a second in charge of the cheer squad many years ago. He actually became a Carltonian member when I was president. And he, every Wednesday down at the Queen Victoria Market, feeds the homeless. He gets a lot of help from suppliers like, I know a great Carlton supporter called Gino Francesi at...
the pizzas.
At Cafe Coretto.
Yep.
Sorry, not Cafe Coretto. Cafe Cavallino.
There's never been a better Carlton supporter, has there? With that name.
Cafe Cavallino is a great Carlton supporter.
Perfect.
Gino and his family there. In Lygon Street, and he provides a lot of pizzas for them every single week.
He gets them ready every week and gives it to them, doesn't he?
He gives it to them for nothing, and they go there, and they also cook sausages and all sorts of other things. Dan Fayadonos is his name, and he's a really great Carlton man. And he's there every Wednesday night. He's got a whole team of volunteers, and they all do a great job too. So I'm sure that's something I'd love to get you down there one Wednesday night just to meet some of the homeless people that go there, because they all flock down there and love getting a good feed of Italian food, especially.
And we can get a gluten-free vegan pizza with vegetables.
We'll even organise one of those for you.
What's
a vegetarian pizza?
What's a vegetarian gluten? That's just like the box.
You can just put cheese and vegan cheese on the box. It'll be perfect.
Tomato sauce and cheese on top of the box.
Yeah, that's it, a plate of air.
This has been enlightening.
You like it?
I'm going to take the two of you to all my public speaking gigs.
I love it. We should do a bit of a tour.
Be brilliant.
We can be like Cheech and Chong.
I can see all the corporate offers coming through the door.
Hey, don't be shocked, mate. I'm telling you, we need some
We'll call
difference.
it Thomas and Friends.
Thomas? Oh, because of the Thomas. Or you can call me the fat control. I used to be the fat controller.
I'll be the fat controller. You can be Thomas the tank.
Can we say that? Fat controller, maybe.
Are we allowed to say that? No, we're not allowed to call people who are fat.
No.
So anyway.
Beast, we're supposed to call them.
Large controller.
Large, yes.
Actually,
so I'm allowed to swear, but we can't say.
You're very passionate about the community. I assume, therefore, that when you were a player at Carlton, that you got quite involved in community activities with the club.
Well,
do you think the club does enough in that space?
I don't think anyone can do enough in that corporate and or sporting space. There's always something more you could do. I don't know what they're doing on a day-to-day basis.
You were with White
Lions.
I was going to ask you about that.
Co-founded.
Yep. Is that still going?
It is. Good. And on top of that, I was teaching, and on top of that, I was running all sorts of other outreach programs under my own banner, if you like.
Yep.
And today, my work in education and throughout the community is constant. So that's not something that's...
Well, that's one thing we definitely can say about Glenn Manton is...
well,
you're helping...
There are rats here.
Yeah, no, we've got a bit of noise here, but definitely your contribution to the community has always been...
Thank you.
At a good level, you know. Like
it's been enormous, actually.
Yeah, it's been enormous, yeah.
Thank you.
That's one good thing, yeah.
Yep.
Well, not one good thing. It's one thing.
It is one. It's probably one
thing.
good thing.
One thing. One
You've
thing.
been very giving and very generous
Yeah.
in that area. And again with us tonight in giving us your time to talk about all sorts of things.
I've almost
been a very enlightening
I have
interview.
almost loved every second.
You know, yeah. And I know when you love it.
I even wore some dark blue for you. Come on, give me some credit.
I saw that. I saw you dressed up for
Give me
it.
some. I've really come to the party.
But yeah, I know you enjoyed it. You know why?
Why?
Because the way now you're sitting,
What's that?
you've
Like
just
this?
relaxed and you've
I
gone
can-
back.
I can
do that. That's fine. I love it.
How's that?
I love it. I love the way you relax.
like
That's
that?
what we try to do.
If I go like this, I can almost get you out of shot.
People won't like that, mate, because you know why they're watching.
You're
They're
the-
watching it because
you're the
of me.
star, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm the star. I
Of
just bring
course
you
you are.
along for the ride, mate.
All right, I'm going to close the camera if you like, and then you can say whatever you would like to say.
All right,
Go
go
for your
do it.
life.
I apologise for swearing, but I sometimes swear. You've probably never heard me swear like that before, but I now have to really switch on because I'm going to go into more mainstream
Yes.
media, so I can't swear anymore. But I got a few things off my chest there, so I hope you can forgive me for that. Secondly, I won't be watching the show because I'm in it, not because these guys aren't good guys or it's not a good show. I just don't watch myself or listen to myself. Number 3, I do appreciate all the love I get from the Carlton Football Club supporter base, whether it's in this little space here running this interview or out there in the real world. It's always a pleasure. And if you see me out there in the real world, come and
Say
pull on
hello.
my top, say good day. If there's something I can add in terms of value to your life or your family, more than happy to do so. Gentlemen, thank you for having me.
Thank you. And just quickly before you go, tell us when you're on radio and with who you're on radio.
So I'm on radio on 3AW with Tony Moclair, who is a Carlton supporter
Yes.
and an absolute gun. I can't even...
Lovely guy.
An extraordinarily intelligent, thoughtful, provocative.
He does the
wonderful
overnight.
guy.
He does the overnight shift.
He does. So we've got a
Fantastic.
little space that we share together, and he's very graciously invited me into that space.
So you normally go on what night of the week or what
On
morning?
a Wednesday into a Thursday morning.
So
It sounds like it's a bit of a dead space, if you like, that people wouldn't be listening to
No, they
our
do.
work, but we're getting calls from Czechoslovakia, from Israel, from the US, and the listenership has been quite overwhelming.
it's a very,
So-
very popular show.
And it's also in a podcast form, so if you miss it on a Wednesday into a Thursday morning,
Okay,
you can
perfect.
check it out on podcast.
Fantastic.
If I can be of any value in terms of my public speaking, because I've got to get something out of this, don't I? In terms
Yeah,
of
of course.
promotion.
Of course.
Promoted Angie's fucking fish for half an hour.
You just said you're going to stop swearing. You just threw one in there.
Ange brings out that side of me.
But yeah, you're right. Definitely, if there's anyone that can
Check out my website if
yeah.
I can be of any
What is
value.
it? What is it? We'll put it up there.
GlennManson.com or
Brilliant.
there
That's
you
what
go.
it is, Glenn.
GLENN.
Double N. You know,
AM
you've got a shit
AMNTO.
name when they add an extra N to your name to try and dress it up.
No,
Yeah,
that's
what?
rubbish.
That's true.
Well, mate,
I don't
Rocco,
get it.
how many C's?
8.
There you go.
Nah, but this too. How else? It's not
ridiculous.
Rocco. It's Rocco.
No.
It's actually. How do you actually say it in Italian?
Rocco.
Very good.
Very good.
Very good. Very good.
Ciao, buonasera.
All right,
right.
thanks, guys. No, it's been a pleasure, Glenn,
Pleasure.
and thank you very much, man.
Thanks, mate.
And one more thing, Con, let's do it. Go Blues!
Go Blues.
Till I'm dead and buried deep within a cemetery. I will fight, never weary, I wanna be legendary. Till I'm dead and buried deep within a cemetery. I will fight, never weary, I wanna be legendary. I wanna be legendary. place, that's alright. I don't work at a fast pace, I'm a steady horse creeping.